Cool. And we are live. Fresh Collab Radio, everybody. This is episode 1001. Hopefully get up in the triple digits.
Multiple digits.
We'll see. At least
definitely.
At least over I'll break 100.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'll give it about what is that like? I could say like one a week. That'll give it about what, 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, and that's 4 years of connections with new people. It's like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Easily be 100.
Very easily possible. Anyways, I actually wrote a song, and we're gonna get started with that track right here. If it'll play. My guest today is Justin Dunlap. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Not like the tire company with an
Not
A.
Dunlop.
No.
Yeah. And not the golf ball.
No.
Welcome to Fresh Collab Radio. We could not wait to get our first podcast up and running. We are here to build connection and self-love to our world through music, art, and entertainment. This podcast will cover a wide range of topics from the music business to societal norms and the development of humanity. Please feel free to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through our links to the right of this page. Love and happiness, Copsco.
All right. Let's fucking enough of that. Cool. Yeah, I just think the intro songs are so funny sometimes.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, so I might just switch it up a couple times.
I mean, it's better than what I was expecting. Like the newsroom-esque type room. The dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing some cuts like that too.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted like be able to like do like kind of like the radio DJ, like the wow, you know that.
Well, I mean, if you're going into 100, I mean, why not have a new mix every time?
Oh,
like
yeah.
A new intro.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great. Ideally, it'd be super great to just like have DJs and producers come up and like be, like create one for their episode.
Yeah,
you know,
just
like
give them the stems. And,
Yep. Yeah, or just whatever. I mean, that one's made out of my track Tomb, which was on my last EP, which didn't do too great, but you know, such is life.
Nobody's first EP really shoots off.
Yeah. It's
That's the fun stuff, because then once you get big, you got all your mega fans digging in the doldrums of SoundCloud, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of just what I've been doing is just I do pretty much everything.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like how when I grew up with the idea of I want to do everything.
Yeah.
Before I die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I never was instilled with that mentality of do one thing.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing you're going to do for the rest of your life.
So that's interesting, because I had the exact opposite coming.
You might have to like go like more
yeah.
directional.
Over here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, let me see. This one sucks. This one's been messing up too.
No, it's fine.
I could bump up yours a little bit too. Cool.
Yeah.
Just turn up the gain a little bit.
Oh yeah, no. But my family was very much the single-minded Mormon. You have to go to school, be a doctor, and use your intelligence. And I was actually pretty different person until I turned 18, and then that's when I got into the whole, hey, let's try everything. Thankfully, that didn't take me down the roads of like skydiving and heroin yet, but you know.
Right. Yeah, that adrenaline junkie stuff. I mean, the idea for me of skydiving sounds fantastic, but it sounds expensive, like an expensive hobby.
The idea too, but like, you know, I feel like I would just have that luck where I have to grab onto my buddy and for dear life. But
yeah. Oh yeah. And you have to do, I mean, it's people when they think of skydiving, when I thought of skydiving first, it's like, oh cool, you could just get to jump from a plane, but really you have to do like a lot of jumps with with like people.
Yeah.
And I had a coworker I'm pulling up some notes on my phone, so sorry if
there you go.
I usually think the phone is very distracting, and I try to not to bust out my phone. But I worked with a coworker at Natural Grocers in Durango when I moved back to Durango for a little bit, and she was talking to me about the psychology behind people that like that adrenaline, and how they're like psychopaths or like sociopaths or something, and like they just like they don't care.
Yeah, no, definitely.
They like really just don't care about like anything, so they're willing to just
they just like throw it all away. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like fuck it.
Yeah, it's wild.
I don't know. It's like I've never jumped out of a plane, but where I grew up was where they filmed We Were Soldiers, that movie.
Yeah, with Mel Gibson.
Yeah, in Fort Benning down in Georgia.
Yeah.
And all the soldiers are always trying to show their family everything, and there was one time where you could jump out of the towers that they would train on. I was like 6, 8 years old, something like that. Man, that shit's scary. All I was doing was jumping out, and then it was a hard drop, and then going forward. But imagine a mile.
Oh yeah. I mean, the closest thing I get to like adrenaline rushes like that would be obviously performing.
Yeah.
But skiing.
Yeah.
Like skiing to me, like it like going off the path, like and going and doing cliffs and stuff, and dropping cliffs on skis. That to me is like very scary.
Yeah, and I mean,
like my heart.
I'm 6'5". I feel like that's way too much room for one leg to just give out.
Yeah, totally.
Like a skeleton falling down the mountain.
You're just a bag of bones.
Yeah,
just a skin and bones.
Ragdoll physics from every good video game.
Yeah, dude, that's wild. All right, so let's. I wanted to talk a little bit about what you had said you're into now, and I guess like for our listeners, we can we'll talk about how we met.
Yeah, definitely, because I think that actually starts there.
Exactly, and from my recollection, this was 2 years ago at a Rise. I think we might have met a couple times before at Cervantes or something,
but nothing where we had a conversation.
Right.
So that's not a real meeting.
No, and that was like a Rise was like one of those like pivotal moments for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I was managing Skydive and Templo and working at Phaline and doing that thing. So I was like in the cross between like partying my ass off and working hard.
Definitely.
And so like when I met you, I remember us sitting down talking about probably just like something like metaphysical.
Maybe. Well, I know I was backstage at the times rolling blunts and reading a book pretty much the whole weekend.
That's right. Yeah, that's totally it.
No real connection to any of the artists. I just happened to know the people who built the stage and pretty much sat there and talked to people.
Yeah. And I remember I was probably one of the ones that was like drinking and like trying to score beers and sitting down next to you and like what's your story?
Well, everybody was either like tripping or something.
Yeah, that was an adventure.
Yeah,
that was nuts.
Yeah.
That next week I got back home and I was like, I am gonna quit doing everything.
Yeah.
Like I basically at that point was like, this isn't working out. Whatever I'm doing just isn't working out.
Well, it's interesting because I know a lot of the other local artists that were there, even around us at the time, that same week were like, man, we should definitely like pull back a little bit. At least just like focus.
Oh, yeah.
Learn something,
Yeah, and I had a couple of conversations like that with people too, and they'll remain nameless for now.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, it was one of those moments where everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yeah.
It was just like, what's that? Who's that?
I'm not sure, but
what physicist is that?
Yeah, but like it's cool because you have to hit rock bottom to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't experience. This is one of my favorite sayings as of late. You can't experience the lightest light without the darkest dark.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I what happened to me in my experience, and like that's the cool thing about like why I'm so stoked about these podcasts and stuff is be able to talk about our experiences, And from my experience at Arise though was I think it was Sunday. Sunday was it was Sunday. And I think Skydive playing that day. Bass Physics was playing.
Yep.
I don't think Templo played there that year. Copper Children played.
Yeah.
And Malima was on the main stage that day. And that morning, I woke up in a tent, and I was like, random tent, don't even remember, and was like, probably just drinking way too much all weekend. And I had walked past these guys that were at the campsite, and they're like, "Yo, open your mouth," and I was just like, like what, like kind of just half asleep, whatever. Just threw a tab of acid in my mouth.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, like it wasn't like I was just like, I've been here before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I am supposed to be managing 5 bands today and be working on that, and. Super obviously unprofessional, and like was like, all right, well, I guess this is just how it's gonna be. And next thing I know, I'm like riding in a cart with Samuel J. And like we're trying to get him some water at one point, and like I was just losing it. I wasn't losing it. I gained my composure, but at the same time, it was just like, this is not cool.
Yeah,
like this is not what I wanted.
Other things to do today.
Yeah, this is definitely was not on the things I wanted to do. And I told my boss at the time, I was like, yeah, so this happened, and we're just gonna have to roll with it.
Yep. And
he was being really, really cool about it, and that. I guess that's why I really love like working in the music industry, is because people are like, oh, okay, like I understand that kind of thing, but then once the next day. Hit those emails, son.
You're just like, yeah, most definitely.
It's like get on that computer.
Yep.
But yeah, but like what I was saying was, when I met you, we had talked about podcasting, I think. Yeah. Yep. And I was like saying, gosh, how badly I wanted to do these podcasts.
Yeah.
And Shane was a huge influence to that for me, because when we were on tour, we'd go to like Euphoria Music Festival, and then like 14-hour drives. We're just listening to Joe Rogan the whole way.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're just like laughing and doing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's sad to say that I can't include Shane in on these, but it's just.
Well, I mean, he's gonna be here with you while you're doing it.
Oh, totally, totally.
This is gonna be the best part. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking great.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe you guys would have not launched it as far as you could have. Together, and now because you have this drive,
Yeah, I mean, he was always keeping busy with drumming and stuff too, so it's like for him to find the time to do that,
Yeah.
But yeah, so what about where have you been these last 2 years, my man?
Well, man, that's the thing. When you met me, that was kind of my pivotal moment of realizing that, I'm actually kind of cool. That sounds crazy, but coming from where I am in the deep South, growing up the way that I did, you don't really have room to be yourself, spread your wings, and really me feeling like I personally had that freedom started at 18. And that weekend pretty much was for me meeting a bunch of people that I actually now look up to, now view as like equals and want to continually learn from. But yeah, in the past 2 years since then, I've had a really interesting moment of clarity. One day I been thinking a lot about how I can help people, how I can change what I do. And
what were you doing at the time?
At the time, I was selling things.
Okay. Yeah. We've all been there.
Knickknacks and accessories.
Yeah.
So
on eBay,
really,
you're basically knickknacks and things on eBay.
Antiquities.
Antiquities.
But not really doing anything with my life because being lazy and not wanting to do anything.
Right. Not having the urgency.
No urgency.
Or vision, really.
No, exactly. But there was a time I was like, damn, I'm really not doing shit with my life. More so I was embarrassed that I continually wasn't doing anything with my life, and kind of thought about it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to actually get a job, try to get my badge, work in the industry. But put a pin in that thought, because before I got the badge in the industry, I had the clarity of maybe I want to do psychology. Maybe I want to do intimacy psychology. Maybe I want to teach people to be more in tune with their bodies and through their emotions, be more in tune with their body and with other people. There's so much, especially as men, that we are just, that's been apparent here in the music scene up here. And, but yeah, there's no respect because we don't respect ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so I was looking into that, and I was like, man, how can I get a part of this? And I found this woman who had the same like teaching style that I have already envisioned myself having. Crass. I'm still gonna cuss. Still gonna tell you the signs that you need to know.
Right.
But you need to fucking joke around about it.
Yeah.
And so I found this woman, and she's a beautiful.
Do you mind telling me her name?
Yeah, I was about to say Psalm Ismadora. That's her name.
Psalm Ismadora.
Yeah.
How do you spell that for?
Psalm Ismadora.
Oh, wow.
But the kicker is that she's no longer with us. She actually passed away.
Wow.
She was part of a sex cult basically as a child and was dealing with, her own traumas her whole life. And about a week before she passed, she was telling her friends like, hey, I really feel like my time here is done. I've taught everything I need to know, this, that, and the other. And she took her own life on my birthday.
Wow.
2 days before I had this epiphany that this is what I wanted to do. And I did all this research, found her, was inspired by her, and then saw that she had done that. And I was like, wow,
I mean, that sounds transitional as fuck, though.
Exactly. It's a pretty hard sign for me because also I can't access any of her knowledge online because everything's behind a paywall. You can get those little 3-minute YouTube clips.
Right.
So it's kind of like ever since then I've been on that path. I've found my spiritual path even, which is interesting. Tantra, which is actually not what many people think it was in the 1930s, 50s, somewhere in that time frame. So Tantra, like the actual, the Kama Sutra, the books. So
right.
in the 1930 and the 1950, the man who brought the Kama Sutra to America from India actually basically disrupted it. If you do research on him, I don't remember his name, but he basically just didn't translate it well and basically used it for his own gain. And if you trace it back to its roots, it's essentially the embodiment of yin and yang. Basically what you were saying and what I was saying about how we want to experience everything. You have to experience everything in life to its fullest to, teach and learn and be able to be a full embodied person. Because, how all these people that are meditating all day, it's great. They're super calm, super nice, but how would they handle if somebody came up and just like punched them in the face,
Yeah.
They would probably snap, because they've pushing down all this anger for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I think a lot of... I mean, you meditate regularly then, I'm assuming. Or do you try?
So there's different forms of meditation.
Okay.
For me personally, the stillness breath meditation is very rare.
Okay.
It's more like a once a week type of thing.
Right.
I get a lot more meditation being awake and actively, not focusing on books, video games, media, work. Yeah. For me, I meditate. I do meditate like every day, but excuse me. When I sit, I'll sit for 30, 45 minutes, an hour sometimes, and I guess going on what you were talking about, I feel like I don't suppress. Yeah.
I feel like with meditation, I go into a meditation with intention. Yeah. Like, what do I expect to get out of this meditation? Or what do I want? And so for me, whenever I sit down and I meditate, I usually go into a meditation with questions that I want answers to. Yeah. And 99% of the time, I come out of that meditation with completely different answers to completely different questions that I wanted in the first place. Yeah. So I mean, I guess going on like what you're saying with getting punched in the face, like no. But I do. If you're like a monk though, and you're literally like doing 12-hour sits, and I mean, yeah.
Well, it's more.
I can't imagine.
It's more so these people who expect you have to be 100% happy all the time, that's more of what I was meaning towards. But, with that, it's remembering who you are and remembering who you need to be for the world,
Right. Who do you get to be?
Exactly. And that's always a constant growth. If you were the same person today as you were tomorrow, you'd waste it today. Yes. And that's kind of what it boils down to.
Totally. Yeah, and it's fascinating that you bring up that topic of the topic of responsibility in men, especially in today, and it's funny because it's like, I mean, for centuries and centuries and centuries, women have always been suppressed and just. And now it seems like men are starting to fall down that path. Oh, definitely. Because of just, like you said, the yin and yang kind of thing. It's kind of like the ebb and flow of the way energy works. And what I see a lot more now is is a lack of emotional intelligence amongst men.
Definitely.
And a lot of it has to do with their parent upbringing too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
what their upbringing is, and deadbeat fathers leaving, and single mom is she's your goddess.
Exactly,
she's
yeah.
essentially your mom, your single mom that raised you by yourself. I mean, I was raised by my mom from the age of 13. Well, like 11 to 17, 16.
Yeah.
Just by her. My dad was absent those years, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just that thing where you're like you kind of worship subconsciously that female role model.
Definitely.
And it shows up in every day of your every day, like
Yeah.
relationships with women. And
well, we put a strange attachment to people in general. I had the same thing. I was pretty much raised by my mom, and then when my mom married I call him my father, but he was my stepdad. When he was military, so he was gone every other 6 months for a year and a half. So I was raised by my mom pretty much the whole time.
Right.
But you have to remember, while it is your mother and she did birth you after a point, how is your mother actually been viewing you? Because they're just as human as we are. As
totally.
Every other person that you meet in your
Right.
life. If we are as critical of the random people that we meet day to day,
Right.
why are we not critical of, our friend relationships and then ultimately our family?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I mean, I came to the realization that my parents were just human. Like just normal people,
Definitely.
mostly children too.
Yeah.
The thing is too, is like when you realize that your parents are children, like they're just people just trying to figure it out just like you. That's a very humbling experience.
Yeah. Well, I know my mother had me at 23.
Yeah.
So
my mom was, I think she had my older sisters when she was like 19, 20, and I think she was 22, 23 for me.
So her whole life she's been raising kids too. So what, not to be rude, but what has she learned? There's a lot of worldliness that comes from not having that, not anchor, but
Right.
keeps you in one place for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of women, if they're not going to school and not finding vision or having direction in their life, a lot of them take that path that having a child just brings purpose.
Yeah.
And it's very like, it's very just it gives so much direction.
And I wonder how much of it too is their own mother pushing it on them too, because
Interesting.
I know every time I go home, my mother's like, "So when am I getting grandkids?"
Oh,
I was
really?
like, but the last time you talked to me, you were wondering why I'm not in college and when I'm going to start getting paid more. Like, all these things need to happen before a kid.
Right.
I couldn't imagine being, a woman, not even a woman, like a beautiful woman with, possibilities, being pushed down that path of, hey, you need to marry a doctor, especially if you had a mother too that was wanting, maybe if she marries, I'll be taken care of.
I mean, it's just funny to think we're just moving in the completely opposite direction, though.
Yeah.
Look at the average lifespan of humans now is 60 to 80 years? Is that average now?
I think so, but I think we're gonna be immortal in 20 years.
Oh, dude, we're gonna exponentially grow quickly. I mean, and my point is with that is like when people were dying on average in their 40s and 50s back like couple 100 years ago.
Yeah.
They were having kids at 14.
Yep.
And then their bodies started developing like hecka early on, and that's just kind of like, that's just how nature is. But I feel like now it's just like, oh, okay, 35.
Yeah.
For me, it's like 35. I want to be like 35 and have my, my vision set in stone before I can like introduce that to my offspring.
And I feel like that's probably us learning from our parents' parents. Because, we know that forever it's been like, have 8 kids, get locked down, husband goes to work at the factory, goes to war. Yeah. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to cry over plays and, read a book, do some things by myself,
Totally.
And that's what I think it was is the guys are starting to get that emotionality, and women are also starting to gain the independence. We are starting to balance out on the spectrum.
Totally.
We're
becoming more like each other than we even think.
Yeah, we're becoming one again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. It's so fascinating to me because I took a leadership training course in Durango, and
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
My goodness, man, it It was just like it was just basically the way I can. The only way. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to give any detail to anybody else's experience but my own. But like, it was the feelings that I had were like it was as if like a third parent stepped in.
Yeah.
This training was just like, oh no, this is how life really is.
Yeah.
Like this is what it's really about. It's about connection. It's about intimacy.
Yep.
It's about relationship and how you show up in your relationships. You know, like, and like shit, man. Like, I've been playing mind games with my parents for freaking 27 years now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're doing the same thing, and so it's just like so interesting to think that like, I mean, like. Mom and dad are just such a binary relationship.
Most
you know?
definitely, yeah.
Especially when they're both single.
Oh yeah.
So that's like why when your parents are together, there's like a tripod effect.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Of raising you stably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird analogy kind of thing, but like,
yeah.
but when you both have single parents and no one's on the same page, you know, I mean, it just goes across the board.
Well, and I know for myself, like my mom was ridiculously believing in the Mormon faith and then married my father, and then he ended up converting, and I would put money on the fact that he pretty much did it because he loved her and he wanted her to stop griping about it. But I know my mom's dad passed away in Vietnam.
Wow.
And was raised by only just her mother. And then my dad had both of his parents passed away when he was like 2.
Wow.
So he was adopted and never talks about that, never talks about his parents. So again, it trickles down. It's like how are our parents raising us because of what they've experienced from their parents? And I don't know about your parents, but knowing mine, I doubt they think about the depth of that kind of stuff. You know, how their childhood probably impacts how they're affecting their kids now.
Right.
We're in the information age. Unfortunately, we have all these thoughts that I can share with you in the blink of an eye. You know, social media might be bad. You know, because I'm sitting there scrolling through it when I'm supposed to be talking to people, but I'm also reading a bunch of other people's thoughts and learning some interesting points of views. You know.
Yeah, I don't understand the. I mean, okay, so I do.
There's extremes.
I do like having my phone out, for example. I mean, I was listening to Simon Sinek. You know who Simon Sinek is?
No.
Oh, dude, he's so awesome. He basically he did a TED Talk that was called basic. It was called it's based on the Golden Circle and like finding your why. Pretty much using Apple as a example of it's not what you do or how you do it that matters. It's why you do it.
Yeah, most definitely.
So it's basically off the premise of that. But he did this interview and he was talking about social media and how millennials are a certain way with social media. And the thing that I took from that was you're not 100% attentive to the person that you're with in the room when you have your phone out.
Yeah, absolutely not. Well,
and like even so, like I have my phone out right here, and it just the fact that it just being face down right here, and you see that it's face down, you know that that I am possibly not giving you 100% of my attention because it's just sitting there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know I personally, as bad as this is, I've gotten in a few accidents. Pretty much, I've blown up 2 cars because I didn't fill it with oil, and then in 2 other accidents.
Oh man, I do me too.
Eating and texting and driving. So
eating and texting and driving
at the same time. The 3 things at the same time. I was really hungry.
What were you eating? Taco Bell?
Yes.
Shut
Actually,
up! It was
one
not
of them
Taco
definitely.
Bell.
Yes.
Dude, it's good to go.
Yeah, I was working for Google at the time in Atlanta, and
oh my gosh,
was on my lunch break eating burrito, slammed in the back of a car, and it turns out it was the barista at my favorite coffee shop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and she was like, "The fuck," and I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm not getting coffee this week
for a couple months."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
damn,
yeah, so that kind
I've
of
done
stuff.
it.
Yeah, and that shows you immediately. Like my phone goes on my center console. I bought pretty much I just got a newer car because for the safety features and the fact that I can have it connected and still listen to music and just throw the phone in my center console.
Right. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Be there.
What kind of car do you have?
Ford Fusion.
Oh yeah,
and it's cool too because they just discontinued them.
It's like those purple ones. Is it purple?
No, I wish.
Those ones are so bad.
Yeah, it's
a sport though, right?
Yeah,
dude, those are so dope.
Yeah, it's silver and it's like got a little bit of hail damage,
dude,
so I just call it Luna.
I've got a really tall bald friend that drives a Ford that same car.
Yeah?
That
Is it
same
me?
fucking car. I think it's a 12. 2012 or 13.
It's me. I just have a doppelganger.
Yeah, right. No, he actually runs. He's the owner of Pizza Alley. Dude, he's really tall. Like, you guys remind me a lot of each other. It's just funny that you said that because now you're driving like the same car.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I've totally crashed cars.
We're gonna merge together one day.
Oh, dude, you should. That'd be.
I want to own a pizza place.
Yeah. Yeah, you do now. You do now.
I do now.
Oh,
I'll just go in there and take
flour. All that flour just sticks to everything. It's fucking terrible.
That's how it is at my job. I mean, all that flour that I work with at the dispensary.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true too.
So.
But yeah, I've crashed cars doing the same thing, texting and driving. When mostly of the time it's looking for a new song to play on my fucking. Yeah, it's not really texting and driving.
And that's so stupid. Why did we do that? Car. Come on.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not healthy.
Think bad about ourselves because it's really fucking dumb.
Oh yeah, no, it's yes and no. Now I just don't drive a car.
Oh, yeah. See, that's how it was for me for a while. I just went a couple months. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Take the bus.
I haven't had a car for 2 years now, 2 or 3 years. It's been so nice. Dude, I mean, I live downtown, so.
I got rid of my phone for 6 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you manage that?
I don't know. It was funny because I was back in Georgia selling weed at the time and didn't have a phone, and I successfully did it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I went 5 days without a phone because it was broken once.
Got freaked out, didn't
It was
you?
so awesome. No, I was like, I was happy.
It's
I was like,
great.
I was dreading getting a new phone.
Yeah. Well, I got complete. That's how I kicked my addiction to Facebook. I actually recently too.
That sucks.
Dude, if you want to break your addiction to Facebook,
it's not that I want to. It's just that like it's such a special tool for like marketing and business and stuff like that.
Just use the unfollow feature.
The unfollow feature, you're right, dude.
For days.
I cannot stand certain people sometimes. Like, why am I looking at your garbage?
My unfollow rules.
My closest family members, too.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I have not a single family member.
I shouldn't just unfriend them.
Dude.
They should be calling me.
Yeah, listen, it's basically a separate mind space at this point. You know, we're moving forward into the technology age. Yeah. If I don't want you seeing my shit, you're not going to have to. And if you don't understand that, then I'm sorry. Like, that's on you.
Yeah, when I was looking for funding to take that to do that training, my stepmom's parents saw my post and I said "fucking it," and
they were not happy.
They literally were like, "We did not give you a single penny because you said the word fuck."
Wow.
Yeah, I was just like, wow.
Thanks, you guys. Just not support me over one word. I see how solid your love is.
I didn't even say anything blasphemous. You know, I wasn't like I didn't say Jesus Christ or you know, or I didn't say anything that offensive. I think I was just like,
I'm fucking excited.
Yeah, it was exactly. It was more like I think the wording was I fucking deserve this.
Yeah.
Like this training like is something that I absolutely deserve. And I'm doing it.
And you did deserve it.
Oh, dude, it changed my life.
Yeah, exactly.
It was amazing. It's so awesome. I mean,
but see, that kind of shows you too, you know, it's harsh to say, and I always say it too, you know, I actually just pretty much cut my parents out of my life just like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I've decided, exactly. Every time I go around them, I don't know. I think I'm a relatively nice guy. I feel like people think that I'm pretty peaceful. I can't speak for that. But pretty much as soon as I get around my family.
Just masks.
Dude, it's just like I can't function because everything is, anything I do, doesn't matter if they're yelling at me. If I tell them not to yell at me, it's like, yo, don't fucking talk to me that way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. So if it gets to a point, you know, obviously you have to look at yourself, see if you're actually being a little shitbag. But sometimes you have to take that step with yourself and just be like, hey, I need room to breathe. I can't grow if I'm keep worrying about
relationships, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have them. And it's I think it's great to be able to recognize that and knowing what your worth is too. Like, because at the end of the day, it's like, is this person really like treating me like shit because they love me?
Yeah.
You know, and that was like one of the things that's one of the things I deal with like all the times with a couple of my friends and my dad too. Sometimes, like growing up, it was like you're getting spanked, because I love you.
Definitely.
And to me, I was like, bullshit. Like, there's no way in hell that I'm feeling loved by getting my ass fucking spanked.
And that was the crazy thing for me too, is because my parents never really had a reasoning for me for why something shouldn't happen. It was because the Lord Jesus Christ tells us not to. And I'm, you know, when I'm 4 years old, that doesn't really
it doesn't
mean.
It doesn't vibe with you.
Yeah. So when you're doing all that and you're, spanking us because you love us. It gets to the point, hey, I've got to tell you how I feel. My mom loves to do this thing. As soon as you start to talk about anything, like, let's bring up something that upset me, because we got to talk about it. We're communicating. We're adults.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you always say the most hurtful things. As soon as she feels something, it's like, hey, I really didn't appreciate, how you kind of mocked what I was talking about. She'd be like, you always got to say hurtful things, don't you, Justin? Why do you always have to be so mean to me? And I'm like, no, but we're talking about our feelings, man. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
It is. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think I get that with like my parents.
Yeah.
For me, it's more like, oh, my dad. It's like he's basically a preacher. So
he's the leader.
He's very dominant.
Yeah.
Dominant. Very conservative. Republican conservative. Born again Christian about 7 years ago.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Damn. So that's like a whole other layer.
Super nuts, man. That was super nuts because I was raised by him as an atheist, pretty much. Not atheist, but more like science of mind. Like all living things are God and that kind of that kind of belief, which I translate to Buddhism now.
No, definitely. Yeah.
Like it's basically the main Buddhist outlines and stuff. But with him, it's a lot of just talking. Talking.
Yeah.
And mine's a lot of listening. And
see.
Yeah, and until recently, I've gotten to the point where, it's been this way since I was 10.
Yeah.
But I've always checked out. Like whenever I'm getting scolded or something, I'm just like, ooh,
oh yeah.
10 minutes of this, and I'm just checked out.
Damn.
So like the lessons that he probably wanted to teach me, and by the time he got to the point to the point of what the lesson was, I was probably already gone. Like daydreaming about something else.
See, that's funny because I wish my parents would just talk to me. I had the crazy thing of my parents would ground me, but they would ground me for like months. Months. I remember I was grounded for over a year one time because I got a C on my report card. And then this sounds crazy, and obviously every parent has said this, but I just want to say for the record, for everybody listening, I was an excellent student. I did all my damn work. But this teacher literally had it out for me because he's like, we're going to have a debate. And so he started debating, and he was like, basically we were doing, like he said, we're not going to bring religion, and we're not going to bring
politics.
He said politics, I think, about a different topic, but politics has to be in because we were talking about abortion. And he's like, we're not bringing religion into it. And I was like, okay. And then
that's kind of...
Yeah. Obviously, we're in the Deep South, and I thought he was going to be impartial, but dude, he just goes off on a whole tangent about how, people who kill their babies are just like evil. Yeah. And I thought he was like, giving a side of an argument. Oh, no.
It's very opinionated.
Very personal. And so I called him out on it. Dude, ever since then, I remember I wrote a paper for this teacher who actually taught it was for him, and I showed it to a teacher who was at my school who actually taught my grandmother and my mother. So this woman is like intergenerational, like English teacher. She's passed away now, Miss Brinker.
Oh, R.I.P. Miss Brinker.
Yeah, she's amazing. She told me that everything that you read is sex and death. Any book that you read, no matter what it's about, is about sex and death. Oh my
God, I had that epiphany when I was like 12 once.
Yeah. But,
sex and death.
Yeah, I showed her this paper, and I wrote a concert about the first concert I ever went to. It was a metal show. It was a local band, and I wrote about it as if it was a tribal ritual. It was amazing, and I showed it to this teacher, and she was like, this is incredible. You need to submit this to the literary magazine. I gave it to this teacher who I say had it out for me. He gave me a 20 on it, a 2-0, because he said, it doesn't...
Like 20%?
20% out of 100. And he said it doesn't...
You put your name on the top right corner. That's all you get.
I know I did. But he said, you didn't translate your idea very well. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why he gave me 20. He just said he didn't know what I was talking about. So he gave me a 20, and I was like, all right, dude, fuck this.
That's crazy.
Only class I've ever failed.
Did he write that down? Did he put that in writing? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Dang, you should frame that. That's something that's frameable.
So I had to, it's the only, dude, I've skipped a grade. I skipped a grade when
You skipped a grade?
Yeah.
I was held back.
Yeah, so I skipped a grade.
That's crazy.
I had to do 2 English credits the next year because I essentially failed junior English because of it was an AP class.
Oh, wow,
and he just failed me.
Yeah.
So I had to take, a junior level.
Oh, dude, you're an AP?
Yeah, I was.
And you got a C?
I got an F.
You got an F?
He failed me because he didn't like me.
Grounded for 2 years.
Yeah. Dude, my mom hated me. I lost my girlfriend at the time.
No.
Yeah.
Man, it's that. Oh, God, high school was nuts.
Yeah, right? It's the craziest time.
Oh, dude.
I'm so
There's
glad.
so many emotions.
I'm glad I'm not who that is. I've been reading about why, too. There's like, there's these 2 books I've been reading, The Male Brain and The Female Brain. I wish I knew the author right now.
Like, that's the name of one book, or
Yeah.
that's both books?
The Male Brain and then The Female Brain. Mm-hmm. And it's basically about how hormones shape us and how everything, like our brain chemistry.
That's wild.
Yeah, because like, you know, we're going through all these changes. We're going through puberty.
The P word.
You can't say that word.
You can't say the P word.
But
not to a 12-year-old.
No. You'll hear tittering.
Tittering?
Yeah.
That's the word they use?
Tittering. Well, they can't say tit either, so.
So wait, is this just PC stuff going on now?
Yeah, basically. No. So these books basically, though, they teach you about like the chemical differences that we go through in like all different parts of our lives because we don't stop growing until like 25, 27.
I heard it was 28.
28. Well, even then. And then we
Which
start
might be,
dying after that. You know, our hormones start declining.
Oh, no.
So we're on this.
How old are you now?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm 24. I just turned 24.
Oh, you're still baby.
I know.
I'm 27.
That's great.
I'm old.
I'm going to stay
I'm
baby
not
face
better.
forever.
What's that?
I'm going to stay baby faced forever.
Stay baby face forever? Oh,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I'm not slouching. I'm about to follow you.
Dude, I know. I need to get some more comfortable seats in here.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so like, what's your life path now? Like, do you want to be in counseling?
Yeah,
Is that kind of
definitely.
what you want to do,
Yeah.
or and
Well, I'm
what steps are you
managing-
taking to get there?
Well, I'm managing dispensary now.
Right.
That's like my new thing, and it's kind of, you know,
Just
that's
for-
what we have.
Oh,
But,
nice.
it's like we're like the kind of one of the best in the state right now. I say that we've been winning a lot of awards. He has his mic down. I'm just gonna say this is my radio show now. No.
That does smell good.
Yeah.
What's the company?
Denrec.
Denrec.
It's-
Oh yeah, I've heard of Denrec.
Yeah, it's
Where's
cool.
that?
Downtown on Larimer, like right by the baseball field.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's cool because our full name is Denver Recreational. How's that for some Google search terms?
Dude, that's like the SEO work that needs to
Yeah.
be put in there is not much at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Denrec.
So I'm doing.
But do they not
that.
even have a med side? It's just.
Oh, we do.
Oh, you do.
Yeah, so that second store is about to open up, and that's the thing. I'm trying to,
Okay.
you know, I want to be there for the company and help it grow
Yeah.
and do stuff with it, and I think that'll. It's already
So
been.
are you
helping
like a
me.
GM or are you just managing, or how's that work?
Well, I'm
position
one
do
of
you
the.
have
I'm the shift lead. There's a lot of changes going on in the company, just in
Okay.
terms of leadership. So,
Right.
like, we're basically solidifying all of our positions in the company, and I'm basically my dream is to be in charge of like the training and the hiring because like I have a strong belief that nobody is stupid.
Right.
People just haven't had the opportunity to learn, and they haven't had the knowledge presented to them in a way that they can understand at their level of learning.
At their level, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, if, you know, we can be even just one company that is like pulling out these people, showing that we care about this kind of stuff, you know, even if people don't stay with us, that'll go on. It's
Totally.
you know, the 100 monkey theorem.
Well, what's that?
So that's like one of the coolest little
The
things.
100 month. I feel like I heard of this.
Yeah, so basically these scientists were in these little island in Japan, and they were dropping these sweet potatoes off for these monkeys. And the monkeys, you know, liked the sweet potatoes, but they hated having the sand in their mouth. So the scientists taught one of the babies to wash it off in the water.
Oh yeah.
And this baby ended up teaching it to the parent. And only that little group did it. But after several years, like it spread. And then after even like 20 years, the whole island was doing it.
Yeah.
This is just a remote island in Japan.
Yeah.
All of these people were doing it, and then it showed up in monkey cultures all across the world.
Wow.
Just from them doing that, people were washing off their food. And that's actually been presented. You know, they did the
That's
same
amazing.
thing to test it. They showed a this like face, this picture of like faces that was actually hundreds of faces in one picture in Britain in a small community. And everybody was like, oh, there's like 8 faces, 4 faces, whatever. And then they showed it in a remote region in like Germany or something, just like some rural area, and showed everybody how to do it. Then they went back and showed it to a separate group of people in the same area of Britain, and they were able to find every face because
Wow.
another group had already learned it somewhere else.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's actually like, you know, it's deeper implications. You know, quantum physics actually suggests that we do share intelligence, and then that goes deeper because the Hindu faiths and, you know, even all these spiritual beliefs,
Totally.
we already know, you know.
So, like, living in the information age, I love that you brought that up because I'm thinking about that the other day, and like, I do not believe, and this is why I wanted to do this podcast, is I don't believe in withholding information.
Absolutely not.
I think it's garbage.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, it's applying, it's basically applying industrial, thinking to the informational thinking, which is completely different. And I see old employers and stuff do that. I couldn't work for these people anymore, these companies anymore, because I was like, we're not doing this until we get paid for it type thing. We're not giving this information out until we get paid for it.
Yeah.
And to me, that just seems so backwards. It doesn't seem progressive at all.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, I also feel that way sometimes too, because I don't want to miss out on opportunities or something because I've relinquished too much information.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess that's kind of what my thought is. What I was going to say is, what is your thoughts behind information, withholding information, and or just being free with it, and how can we live in a society where that is the norm and still be able to capitalize off of it?
Well, I mean, let's think about it, in the basic level. I'm, managing a dispensary. People are having to come in, hey, we'd love to have our edibles in your store. And I'm like, wow, these are fucking awesome, I don't necessarily care about a price break, but these people might be looking at me thinking, oh, he'll pay anything to have us in the store, Obviously, that's probably not going to happen because all the companies in the industry are really good and straightforward and everything's set, But, people will always take advantage if they're going to, But if we're not being fully honest with ourselves, if we're not giving people the information that they need, I don't care. I'll tell people any part of my life. There's obviously things I'm not going to tell you on the first date,
Right.
You got to treat me to some spaghetti before I'm going to tell you about all my childhood
Spaghetti?
traumas. Yeah, spaghetti's the best, right?
Not even a steak, just spaghetti.
Spagoodle.
Spagoodle.
Yeah. But so that's good though. We
Right.
don't need to hide things from ourselves. There's nothing to be ashamed of because in the information age, we've seen it all, I've seen somebody, there's a video online of a cheerleader doing a backflip and she shits on herself and the whole crowd because she just, her stomach probably hurt and she just didn't really want to let her team down,
Right.
All that kind of stuff happens, if
Right.
you're going to act surprised that, somebody likes tentacle porn,
Right.
Listen, Bush did 9/11. There's not many things that you can be surprised about now, right?
No, I mean, and nothing's original these days too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the kind of the thing with music and sampling and stealing music and stuff and
We're just sharing ideas. Though.
Intellectual property is just so, I guess, is funny. It's just the idea of having copyrights and protecting intellectual properties. It just seems like an old person's battle.
Yeah, the issue is money though. See, because people they want to succeed. They feel like they need to have money to succeed. If you're taking their idea, they're gonna feel threatened. The real answer is, I guess, how can we get into a way where we can all support, music and ourselves without a financial currency or without, the weight of it.
Right.
Which I feel like is the grand question of the age because, the biggest things in politics right now are taxation, college, and, fair wage and a minimum wage,
Right.
And all that stuff lines up. If you didn't have student loan debts, if I didn't have to worry about college, dude, honestly, I would probably not work. I would just go learn and teach people. I want to just hang out.
Right.
Yeah. Because this sounds.
Well,
really
I mean,
bad,
what's fun? I mean, and just have a side job.
Oh yeah. I mean.
Yeah. Just enough to feed yourself.
Oh yeah.
Have a roof over your head.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of what I want to do. What I'm doing now. I'm getting ready to go to school. Take out those loans, but until then, there's nothing wrong with relaxing, smoking, and just playing some games.
Yeah, I just don't think the information that you can get at a school is as valuable as information you can get online now.
Oh, it's censored. That's the thing.
It's so filtered.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it, dude, I keep saying, I'm from the South.
The only thing, sorry to interrupt, but the only thing that school's good for is networking.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
And getting to know the professors, because the real learning comes from the intimate conversations with the professors.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of is part of why I want to, do what I want to do. When I'm saying the relationship psychology is because if I can get people to break the walls down, where we can have conversations like this. There's this video circulating on YouTube for a while, on Facebook for a while now, of a black man who's a preacher, I think, but has befriended 200 Klansmen, like the Ku Klux Klan.
Just breaking down walls.
Just by talking to him, because we're all people, we're all human, and these people, honestly, you know, they might think that, you know, black people all need to die.
Yeah.
But they probably have a reason, unfortunately. You know, the reason's probably really stupid, but
probably really stupid.
But what's the reasoning behind that reason? You know, everything has a source.
It's all conditioning, programming.
Exactly. But if you can talk to them and show them that you're a real person,
right,
then they will connect with you, and you can teach them any point of view.
I mean, it's kind of just like what, like on like a psycho level, you know, like being kidnapped and shit. And they say like the more you like a lot of like serial killers and stuff, their subjects they don't see as human. They don't see them as human and stuff. So that's why they say if you ever like kidnapped or you know, or you're in, which I had a fucking crazy experience I want to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
Dude, the craziest thing happened to me the other night. But yeah, like just be vulnerable and kind of like just tell them about yourself, you know, and the more that they start to like realize you're human, then the chances of you surviving are greatly.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so like shit, the other night, I ended up staying out late and I don't remember what was going on. But I ended up going down to the bar right here on Nob Hill, and getting a drink, and there's that. Sorry, he is asking for a writing paper, and no, he's not. He's actually rolling a joint. Yeah, okay. I was like, so dude, had a drink, just one drink, and I went out and was smoking a cigarette, and this guy came up and was trying to talk to me, and he basically came up. He was like, "Hey, I really want to go smoke some weed," and I was like, "Oh, I got some weed at my place. You want to come over and you can come smoke?" Yeah, tight, right? He just pulled out Random Access Memories on vinyl. I like collecting vinyl, but I don't have a record player anymore.
I have like a shitty one.
Yeah.
I have a shitty one.
Yeah. So I ended up, this works way better. He came up and we started smoking, and I started noticing these really weird things about this guy. He'd talk really fast and like talk like to himself, and then he would just say like, whenever I would respond, he would just say fuck you, or shut the fuck up, like, oh my gosh, you know. And like I was like, dude, this guy's fucking crazy. And he came out front and he said that he was in the infantry. He was like, I was in the infantry or something, and I was like, all right. I don't know what you mean by that, because that can mean a lot of things. Yeah. But yeah, he ended up coming up here, and on the way in, I found a pull-up bar outside. Like for the door, you know, like a pull-up bar. Yeah. And I was like stoked, so I was like, yes, I wanted a pull-up bar because I like really want one, and this was a nice one too. Yeah. And on the way up, he's like, I'm gonna steal that from you. I'm gonna steal that from you. I don't know this dude at all. Yeah. And he's like, I'm gonna steal that from you, and I was like, oh, okay. You know, I didn't say anything. I was like, all right, maybe he won't steal it from me because I really do want it. And we sit down, and he starts asking me about my music, and he starts getting kind of aggressive. Oh. Yeah, he starts showing these like aggressive shit, and he starts getting up and walking around and acting very fucking weird. Huh. And this is after we smoked a bowl. Yeah. And I was like, all right, like what's going on? Like I didn't say anything. I was just like showing him my music, and he was just like, he kept saying things like, I don't know what you humans do. Like what do you guys do? What do you do? What do you do all day? Like what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, man, just making music and, you know, work a day job. Like I don't know what you want from me. And things just got really weird. Huh. It got really quiet. He turned to me and he said, I'm gonna fucking kill you with this pull-up bar. Oh. And it was sitting right next to him. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. He said serial kill you. He's like, I'm gonna serial kill you. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but because there's one of me. Yeah. And
you're like, it's too late for this,
dude. So I was like, all right, man, cool. You know, like I didn't want to be like, get the hell out, you know.
Yeah, because he might serial kill you.
Yeah, I just was like, and so I was like, okay. I was like, I guess you're gonna serial kill me, you know. And he just like went quiet for a second. And he was just like, He was like, why are you being like this? And I was like, I don't know, man. I think you're cool. You know, I just started complimenting him. I was like, first of all, I don't want to fight this guy. Yeah. I mean, I would kick the shit out of him if I had to, but
you don't want to.
No, I didn't want to. And like, dude, he was clearly a schizo.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he was saying things that he'd flip and like talk to himself. And like it like bipolar, I don't know. It was the craziest thing.
Yeah.
And I finally convinced him to go outside to smoke a cigarette, and then I complimented him so well and stuff. But I think he just straight forgot about what he said. And I'm not even sure if he was joking before, but yeah, when he said that, I was like, what the hell?
Fuck. Damn, that's
because I was in that corner of the room, and he's in between me and the door.
Yeah. What do you humans do?
Yeah, I was just like, I'm so lost. Like,
Yeah.
why? Why? Like, dude, why do you want to kill me? Like, I just smoked you down.
I'm just trying to hang out.
I just invited you up to my place and smoked you down, and now you want to kill me.
Yeah, man. Well, some people just got those traumas going on, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, man. He was very unstable.
Especially if he's infantry, you know, there's no telling what he's seen.
I don't know. And then when I asked him about that, he was like, nah, I lied.
Oh.
Yeah, he was like, I lied about that.
Maybe he didn't want to talk about it.
I have no idea. It was very strange.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where you're like, be vulnerable, and I try to be as vulnerable as possible, and wear my heart out on my sleeve, and you know, and I mean, sometimes you could just, especially on East Colfax, you could put yourself in really, really sketchy situations, you know.
Oh yeah,
and,
definitely crazy down here.
Oh yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, I mean, I guess what I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about, like, because with all the given stuff that's going on in the music industry in terms of this sexual assault stuff.
Oh man.
Like, dude, how do you feel about that? Like,
man.
And like where Denver is right now.
Well, the issue is, you know, everybody wants to point fingers and this, that, and the other, but it all, you know, it starts all around us and with ourselves, you know. Unfortunately, you know, we're not gonna say names, but no. I was warning people about one of the people who was, you know, come out, and people were saying is, you know, taking advantage of these women and forcing himself on people, and you know, but people don't want to believe it. You know, some people are more concerned with other things, you know, but whether that be their image, their partner, the party, whatever, you know, people want to be included more than anything. And I think that's one of the good things. Everything happens for a reason, and one of the most important parts of like these big events happening is that people are saying, hey, you know, we're not going to fucking put up with this. And all these people were like, oh, wow, we've been defending this guy and didn't want to believe it. And these people, you know, and that's happening with like Harvey Weinstein and, you know, even the Cheeto in chief has got some people defending him, even prominent religious figures. So I think all of it is going to boil down to, you know, how we're going to start treating ourselves and then each other, because, you know, people who are going to be forcing themselves on other people, you know, regardless of, you know, how wrong it is. And I'm not making excuses. You remember that teacher that I brought up earlier that failed me? He has one thing that he taught me, and I say it all the time. It's not a reason, it's an excuse. I mean, it's a reason, not an excuse.
It's a reason, not an excuse.
Yeah. So things happen for a reason, but it doesn't excuse you from the behavior of it.
Right.
And, you know, these people who are assaulting, or, you know, not even assaulting, just like catcalling women, you know, just doing things inappropriate, they inherently are thinking that they're not worth it, and that they won't be able to approach a woman just on the street. Not on the street, but, you know. But, like,
just in common dialogue, and, you know, like having a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I think what it boils down to is a lack of integrity.
Yeah.
And therefore following that up with that, you can set the microphone down if you want.
Sure. Okay, that's fine.
That's cool. I can ramble. Yeah, is not having the responsibility. And one of the not having responsibility is just so huge, and you know, I think right now we don't push the dialogue, or we don't push the agenda of providing safe space to women enough. You know, and the thing is we as a society in Denver, or a community in Denver, is we like to party. We like to party, and like we like to have our concerts, and I mean, Red Rocks is right there, you know, and like it's a perfect community to go into late into the night, and we enable the opportunity for women to put themselves in vulnerable situations. But what I've been noticing a lot more is a lot of these people are from out of town. You know, they're not even like from Denver. And I recently just went through an experience where somebody I know and love and care about was put in a very vulnerable situation. And, you know, next thing you know, it's they're completely taking advantage of this person. And whether, not to say that this person wasn't responsible for getting there in the first place, but I think I think we need to instill a little bit more, I guess, like, responsibility to each other as a community here.
Oh, definitely. But
and speak up about things.
I think it's also, you know, a lack of a balance. You know, some people like to get upset when you start bringing this up, but there isn't, you know, an available available, you know, place.
Right.
Not that there needs to be a physical place for it, but people don't carry a space for men to be vulnerable. Right. You know, I think it's important, you know, that men cry, that they, you know, do things that are effeminate, are passionate about art, music, and stuff like that. And
absolutely,
you know, obviously here in our culture in Colorado, it's a lot easier to find men that are like that. But we're just a niche little pocket. You know, there are tons of people that we will never interact with here in our own city that don't have that appreciation. You know, how can we get it to this point to where men are vulnerable enough to say, you know, hey, I, you know, can have these emotions and I can be okay with them, you know, and that's happiness, sadness, you know, lust, anything. Because
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by lust? Like, exactly.
Okay,
like
so,
sexual drive?
Yeah, well, people, you know, guys
and like it's okay to have that? Is that what you're saying? I mean,
well, I mean, you know,
I'm not saying it's not.
It's
I'm
not
just
wrong,
saying,
exactly. But you know, you don't need to
like feel shame,
act on it. You don't need to force yourself onto somebody just because you're feeling it. You know, it's okay to be turned down by somebody. Right. You know, there's emotions that people can have. I feel you know, people. Yeah. Because I mean, if you're lashing out at people, you know, you're afraid, you're angry about your job. You know, when racism, a lot of it, you know, the anti-Semitism that happened, you know, back in Hitler's day, that was all spurred by fear of, you know, losing your jobs. They did pretty much the whole thing of like the Mexicans are going to take your jobs. You know, that's fear. You know, they didn't naturally just hate their neighbor. No, yeah. They were cultured into it.
Yeah, the propaganda and stuff pushed them to that thing. I guess what I'm more getting at is like, what can we do as a Denver community to identify these problems amongst people and break down these walls in strangers, you know? I mean, it's like, I think like...
Well, we got to stop being afraid. That's the number one thing, you know, because... Like just happened outside, you know, right before I came in. These people were yelling at each other, and one person started calling another racist and all this other stuff. And honestly, I just drove up on it. But the thing is that they didn't need to be yelling at each other. They didn't need to start trying to fight each other. There's no reason for any of that. I personally stepped in and started saying, hey, you both need to go your separate ways. I don't care what's going on. I don't care who said anything. You guys need to go on, you know. And there's always gray areas, you know, obviously if somebody, you know, is actually saying hateful things or, you know, I'm not saying just hateful things because that's happened all day, but if someone's threatening your life or your family or something, you know, you're not just going to walk away. Yeah. But, you know, if someone is just like disagreeing with you on the street or even road rage, because we all have road rage, you know, it takes either stepping away or if, you know, you're a bystander, just addressing it. I know I personally call people out for littering all the fucking time. Yeah. If I see somebody litter, I will pick it up and pretty much put it on your car.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
The thing is it's like, I as much as I appreciate that and love that, I think that there's a way we can break down walls that doesn't involve like, you know, being like not antagonizing, but more so I'm thinking of like asking powerful questions. No, definitely. You know, and being like, yo, what would this be like if you were doing this differently? Like doing it differently. Yeah. Like what would if you were doing this differently and it was easy? What would it be like if this was easy for you to throw trash away?
Oh, exactly.
You know, like because it's easy to throw it on the floor, but what if it was easier to throw it into a receptacle?
Oh, for sure. But you know, there's different there's always going to be different ways of approaching it for different people too. Not
right.
But
and
there you go. And yeah, there's always going to be different ways of teaching it to different people.
Right.
Because, you could say...
But I don't think the way the common way to teach everyone is by inspiring them to think for themselves.
Oh, definitely. And that's the greater question that I want to answer too, because I know I'm not doing it the perfect way. But, how can we approach anything? Any piece of knowledge can be presented to everybody.
Totally.
We just have to have it inside of ourselves.
Yeah.
To do it that way. And then the question is, how can we teach everybody to have that skill?
Right. Yeah, man. It's not easy a lot of the times, but at the end of the day, I think like I said earlier, it goes back down to intention, and making it aware of what your intention is, for any conversation, really. Like, I want to talk to you about this and see if I can inspire you to think differently about this. Are you open for that? Are you open to have a conversation about this? And if they are, then great. If not, then you can talk about something else or move on. But for me, it's like I think what I like to talk about with people when it comes to like littering or being responsible is just been like not, instead of like trying to fix them, like not coming from a place of wanting to fix you. Like, oh, I understand that you know these things, but what would it look like if you did it this way? Or can you imagine a world where everybody did this, where everybody threw in the trash? Or can what does your world look like if you don't do that? Or I mean, just kind of like, it's hard to come up with those questions. I'm not the best at it, but I think those are the ones that really get people thinking and acting differently.
Most definitely.
Yeah. But anyways, let's see what our time's looking like here. We're at 4:18. Yeah, that's a pretty good run. Yeah. What do you think? Should we stop and smoke?
Yeah, if you want.
Stop recording and smoke?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, that was it. Justin Dunlap, everybody.
Whoop, signing off.
Signing off. I'm Jarrett Roster, and thanks for listening to Fresh Collab Radio. We got about an hour and a half in. And, join us next time. I'm sure I'm going to have Justin come back a couple times, have a little bit more intellectual, deep conversations with him. But thank you all for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.